Sure. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for round 7 of the Portland, Oregon Regional Championships. My name is Kenny Wisdom, and as you can see on your screen, we have Kyle Thomas versus Jacob Van Wagner. Both players getting shuffled up for the first game. Kyle's sitting at 6-0. I think he's our lone 6-0. So it's kind of unfortunate that he has to play here. I assume he was expecting a draw. But Jacob at 5-0-1-1 can't afford to take a draw here. He can get in on 6-0-2. That would be fine, but he has to try and play it out. 6-1-1 would also be fine for him. So he just has to try and play, which is unfortunate for Kyle, but Kyle should be even 6-2 might make it. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, so Kyle shouldn't have too much of a problem. As always, On the Bubble is brought to you by Top Cut Central. Check out topcutcentral.com for everything you might need: singles, sealed product, accessories, sleeves, deck boxes, and the like. Players drawing their opening hands. Let's see. Kyle has Grass Energy and Energy Switch. I'm going to assume he's playing Virizion. Didn't quite see his active. And we know that Jacob is playing Seismitoad Slurpuff. Friendly handshake, and here we go. This is actually unfortunate for Jacob. Seismitoad being weak to Virizion isn't the best thing in the world, but that head ringer on Virizion is going to set Kyle back a bit, and Jacob did get the double colorless energy, which will come in handy, and the Verbank and the Muscle Band. If he gets a laser here, it would be nice. But he does not. Passes the turn. Genesect up the top for Kyle. And Ultra Ball. Gonna find another Virizion. Give Kyle a look through his deck. So the head ringer is actually gonna put Kyle behind quite a bit. We've talked a lot about how the Virizion deck is so powerful because of Emerald Slash and because its ability to accelerate energy. And it looks like actually Kyle's just going to go ahead and try and live with that other Virizion. Not sure what the count of switch cards in his deck, so it could be a sort of risky play, but he knows his own deck better than I do, I'm sure. And there's the... Going to go ahead and crack off that head ringer. Versus Seeker gets back Juniper. The reason that Kyle's playing Versus Seeker here, even though he can't play Supporter, is because next turn he is definitely getting Quaking Punched. So he wants to be able to play his... Oh, that's a heads. Wants to be able to play his items while he still can. Crushing Hammer head sets Kyle back even further. Juniper for Jacob. And there's another head ringer just for good measure, and a laser while he can still use it. Ultra Ball from Jacob. Getting a Victini. Oh, I actually forgot that Jacob played Victini. We didn't see any, excuse me, in the first match that he played. That could actually be pretty big versus Kyle, depending on what kind of energy. Jacob runs. And there's the Jirachi from Kyle. Going to draw himself a supporter right now. Pokemon Center lady just wipes the board of all of Jacob's damage, or all of Jacob's damage he's into Kyle, and allows him to kind of start over. Still not in a great spot. Victini EX is a big game versus Virizion, and he's still quite far behind on energy attachments. And even further behind here is Jacob is now 2-0 on Crushing Hammer flips. Both players resolving the N. So yeah, with a win here, Jacob should lock up top 8. 6-1-1 should be good enough. 6-0-2 would be even better. And with a loss, he'll have to play next round. So Jacob's still very live, and Kyle, again, 6-2. Not 100% that he'll make it in, but if he can win one of his next 2, he should be fine. And if he wins here, of course, he is definitely locked. Heads on the laser, activates Slurp ability. And Kyle stays asleep, just trapping that Virizion in the active position. One interesting note is that Jacob hasn't actually drawn any energy. He's only played the DCE on the Seismitoad. So that could prove to be an issue. I'm gonna go ahead and Colorus for 9. Wakes up off the laser. There's a float stone on the Slurpuff. And there's a computer search for Jacob. Computer search discarding an N isn't exactly a play we see a lot of. Not sure what Jacob. Looks like Jacob's still considering what to take. I see Jacob's deck getting pretty thin pretty quickly. He burns through cards pretty efficiently with Slurpuff, but he does have the Lysander's trump card to get them all back. And there's the Juniper. Head ringer on that other Virizion. Activating Slurpuff. Actually, Ultra Ball's away his trump card there. Gets another Slurpuff. There's a muscle band, still lacking energy, it seems like, on Jacob's side, which is fine for now, but he'd definitely like to be able to power up some secondary attackers. Especially as that Virizion can retreat this turn. Gonna go ahead and attach that Plasma to the Virizion. He's just kind of priced into retreating here, I think, even though it doesn't really serve his purpose too much. the Lysander, bringing up that Victini. Victini does have a 1 retreat cost, so it'll be kind of annoying for Jacob to retreat, but I think more than anything, Kyle just has to try to do anything he can at this point. It's Jacob's first Crushing Hammer Tails of the game. And there's another N. Jacob with a pretty small deck here. He did discard a Lysander's trump card, so I'm not sure if he has a second one. Oh, but he found the switch. Switching in the Slurpuff to be able to draw 2 cards, and he found the energy for Victini, which is going to be nice. That Victini is still a DCE away from being able to do any real damage, but when it comes out, it will be one-shotting everything currently on Kyle's board. Jacob's going to go ahead and ship the turn back, not wanting to get his Seismitoad 140'd by that Virizion. Looks like, I thought Kyle was passing the turn, but it looks like he might be just thinking about some things. Just waiting to see Jacob's discard pile.
Marshall, should I put these in your box?
Another Genesect hits the board. I'm not sure what Kyle's considering here. Can't see the entire contents of his hand, but I think you just have to Emerald Slash here, even if you're... Yeah, you just, regardless, you have to Emerald Slash. Might just be taking his time trying to think about future turns. 70 goes onto that Slurpuff. 3 cards left in Jacob's deck, it looks like. Go ahead and draw 2 of them. Versus Seeker back, the Lysander's trump card. Oh, just a Lysander, actually. Jacob's risky business. Oh, but he found the DCE for the Victini. This is going to be a huge turn. Kyle has just spent this entire game basically building up to this point, playing through the Headringers and trying to get the Genesect set up, and then Jacob is just able to attack it with a Pokemon that's not super relevant, and that I don't think that Kyle can realistically respond to. It's going to be pretty unfortunate for him. Ultra Ball. Consider getting a Deoxys there, but it's possible that he just doesn't even want to play the Deoxys, just wants to keep that a secret until next game because things don't look great for him, and it's not really doing much for him at this point anyway. Just discards the Virizion anyway, so yeah, at that point you definitely don't reveal that you're playing a Deoxys. There's a Muscle Band on that Genesect. And if Jacob can find another DC, it would just be absolutely backbreaking. But he does have 1 in the discard pile at least. 1 attaches to the Seismitoad, so that's half of them gone. Not sure what's in Jacob's hand. He has to have a Versus Seeker to be able to get back Lysander's trump card to not just lose the game outright here. Yeah, so there's the Seeker. Trump card. If he has a DC, he'll definitely slam it here, which he's not doing. It looks like he's considering attaching to be able to keep the fire on Victini, attaching the float stone to be able to keep the fire on Victini, which I think would be a smart play. The Victini coming out of nowhere is just huge for Jacob, so he definitely wants to keep that alive, and the float stone isn't a huge cost. And there's the trump card. So Jacob's gone through his entire deck, and now he just gets to reset and use all of those resources once again, which will be nice for him. No fear of decking out. Kyle does get to shuffle back his Genesect and all the things that he views, but I think with Jacob just being able to draw multiple cards of turn with Slurpuff, it's going to be, when there's an Enhanced Hammer, going to be hard for Kyle to capitalize on that as much as Jacob is going to. There's a laser, does nothing. Just playing it to thin his deck. Drawing with Slurpuff. Drawing with the other one. Ooh, Crushing Hammer. The tails. Let's see Kyle with a fist pump. Fist pump, rather. And Jacob's forced to attack with Seismitoad. Having to play another laser. So not the best place to be for Jacob. This game has definitely turned around in the last few minutes. Still either player's game. If I were Jacob, I might well, he touched second fire on, or he touched the fire on the Seismitoad to be able to retreat next turn because he doesn't think the Genesect is going to be able to knock him out, but I probably would have rather seen that on the Victini, just to be able to have another attack up next turn. But yeah, he will just get knocked out here unless I'm missing something. There's 3 prizes for Kyle, and now he's ahead to this Genesect deck. Just kind of proves the power of Genesect, just being able to come back. And like I said, still anyone's game, but when there's a DC, that might have been off the top as well. And there's a second Victini for Kyle. So pretty swingy game, pretty interesting game. Jacob going to go to 2 prizes here and leave Kyle without an attacker. I guess he still has Virizion as an attacker, but without a super relevant one. Jacob's also going to be up cards basically no matter what. I mean, he's drawing 2 cards off of the Slurpuffs every turn. I guess he's only drawing 1 now. Actually, the other one got knocked out, but he has the ability to draw 2 cards off the Slurpuff every turn. Going to be pretty tough. The unfortunate thing, suppose, for Jacob is that he can't attack with Victini next turn. He'll need at least a couple more turns to do that. And so if he does something like attacks with Victini this turn, attaches the Seismitoad next turn, it's going to be another 2 turns before he can attack with Victini if he can find the fire and the DCE. So his Victini usage just might actually be gone. And there's the Seismitoad. And the knockout. Muscle Band on Jirachi. And there's a Juniper from Kyle. Drew the energy he needed. And this is the downside of Victini. The low HP can be kind of a killer there. Looks like Kyle's still considering his options. Ultra Ball. Multiplying away 2 N's, it looks like, because then, nope, N and a D and E. Those cards aren't going to be very useful to him at this stage in the game. And there's the knockout. Jacob draws. Jacob could draw Lysander DCE here, and that would knock out the benched Virizion. He has a computer search. That's definitely going to be what he's trying to do. I imagine if he had both pieces of that puzzle, he would have just slammed him down, but he does have the Slurpuff to draw cards. And there's second draw off the Slurpuff, and there's the DCE. And there's an end, just putting him into one card. Didn't draw the Lysander like he would have wanted. And gonna put him down to one. Only putting Jacob to two, but again, he has those. Slurpuff is safe from being Lysander KO'd by this Virizion with his 90 HP. There's no damage, or there's no energy, rather, on the Genesect. Just gonna go ahead and attack. He has to be hoping to draw the Lysander. Slurpuff draw. Crushing Hammer will help. Oh, and it misses. Slurpuff draw. And that's the Lysander for a game off the last possible Slurpuff. It looks like Kyle's still concerned. Yep, and Jacob wins game one. So Slurpuff gets there. You know, in a format where you have very powerful cards like Lysanders and Hypnotic Lasers, Verbank City Gyms, it's very nice to be able to draw extra cards. So the little stage one that could seems to be pretty good for Jacob. And Jacob Van Wagner will take game one. Looking at the other pairings, or the standings for this round, rather. Which I don't have standings for this round, I have the pairings though. We see Chase Maloney at 5-1 playing against Polo Lee, so they're likely playing for their tournament lives, although 6-2 might be good enough. David Cohen at 4-1-1. Still fighting the good fight after losing round one. Let's see what else we have here. 2013 Vancouver, BC regional champion Grant McClellan is at 3-2-1, playing a testing partner of his and Alan Wynn. Seniors second place finalist of the World Championships in 2012, Jack Pitcher, has fallen to a 2-4. That's unfortunate. Jack is usually one of the top players. Sam Chen is 4-0-2, playing first tournament life versus Jackson Knorr. And Joey Gaffney, who's had a lot of success, top forward worlds as a senior, I believe in Vancouver, has fallen to 3-3, so eliminated from the tournament, unfortunately. Kabir Verjee, who managed to top 8 a few regionals last year, generally considered one of the stronger players in Vancouver, has fallen to 3-2-1. Mia Violet, 11th place at the 2014 World Championships, also 3-2-1. So a lot of big names to follow. Nathan Beck, 2014 Washington State champion, is playing against Serena Radu. And it looks like things have started. Kyle not getting the ideal start, which is Virizion, but going to be able to Ultra Ball it out. Plays the G-Booster, I think, mostly. Plays the G-Booster on the Genesect, mostly to just be able to cut Jacob's head ringers off, making Genesect attack for 4 energy and cutting off the ability to G-Boosters. Not exactly where Kyle wants to be. Jacob starting with a Seismitoad, and this could really be anyone's game based on what we saw in game 1. Escape rope to get that Virizion active even. Gonna be pretty nice versus that Seismitoad. And let's see what Jacob can pick up on his first turn. There's the head ringer. That's gonna be pretty nice. It's actually gonna have an effect because Kyle didn't attach a grass energy. And there's the muscle band. No DC yet though, so it's gonna be the big deciding factor here. And did he hit it? It appears so. Oh, and there's the enhanced hammer, even just putting Kyle way behind. As we saw last game, you know, these early turn plays can turn out to not matter as much. You know, Jacob was very close to losing that game in game 1, and even though he had a very explosive start like he's having right now, so can't put too much weight in the early turns, but this is exactly what Jacob is asking for. Gonna put 60 on that Virizion, it stays asleep. Juniper is the top deck, and Kyle just slams it. Jacob doesn't have any other board though besides the Seismitoad, so he's gonna have to try and find some Slurpuff soon. There's some Swirlix rather. And Kyle just attaches and passes the turn. There's a Swirlix and there's the end. So Jacob's really looking for Crushing Hammer here. If his 6-card hand off of the N was just Crushing Hammer, Crushing Hammer, Crushing Hammer, Crushing Hammer, Swirlix, Slurpuff, he'd probably be pretty happy. And there's an Ultra Ball. So it's not going to be the hand Jacob drew up, but I'm not sure he was quite expecting it. And there's the Victini. So the Victini is kind of the second, I was going to say trump card, but Lysander's trump card is actually the trump card. But Victini is certainly a big game here versus the Virizion deck. It does take Jacob a little bit to set up. Jacob's not playing Victory Piece or anything like that, so it's not as amazing as it could be, but it's definitely something that Kyle has to keep in mind. Kyle just attaches and passes. He does play the Pokemon Thunder Lady as well. Just take some damage off of that Virizion. Crushing Hammer misses. Floatstone on Swirlix. Muscle Band, I believe, on Victini. And now Kyle's actually going to be able to attack, so 4 turns later he gets to attack and finally get his board going. And I gotta say, he's looking better than Jacob right now. Jacob had a really explosive turn 1 and then just has not done much since then. Kyle sitting with the ability to knock out that Seismitoad next turn and a fully built up, not a fully built up, but a 2 energy Genesect on the board. And that's going to be a head. It's going to knock that Genesect down to a 1 energy Genesect, which will definitely help. There's a DCE on Victini. No Slurpuffs here aren't the best for Jacob, but he has no way to retreat. Just has to sacrifice the Seismitoad here. And there's the attach. Ooh, taking out the Victini. Although it actually doesn't knock out the Victini, I thought he was gonna maybe have energy switch shenanigans or something to knock out the Victini, but that play, if Jacob has a Lysander Fire Energy, that play is gonna go very, very wrong for Kyle, which it does not. He does not. Instead, he's just kind of putting Jacob in a position where Jacob can commit resources to the Victini to knock out the Virizion that already has a lot of damage on it, which is fine for Jacob, but not the best. There's the first Slurpuff of the day, and there's a switch so Jacob can draw an extra card off the Slurpuff and then be able to retreat into whatever he wants. Ability, draw 2 cards. Throw the head ringer on that other Genesect. Play the second Victini. I think he just has to take the knockout here. He's going to promote the Victini. Take the knockout. Excuse me. Take the knockout. The Victini is definitely going to get responded to if Kyle has a single energy, but that's fine. As important as a Victini is, the Virizion also matters, and Kyle just cannot let this Victini run rampant here. It's always going to be a threat in the back of his mind that he needs to deal with. There's a Skyla for Juniper. And there's the knockout on the Victini as predicted. Jacob drawing 2 extra cards per turn off that Slurpuff. Discarding 2 Seismitoads there. Catching fire at the Victini and ending. So this has been a really back and forth matchup. We saw, game 1, Jacob got ahead really early, and then Kyle shored up the mid game before Jacob got some good draws and was able to take the game. And now we see Jacob had an okay start. Kyle had a pretty good start in the middle of the game. Now we see it's pretty back and forth, kind of dependent on what draws are going to happen here. Yeah, Jacob is just going ahead attacking with this Seismitoad because Megalo Cannon can deal 20 to the Seismitoad, knock down the bench anyway, so you might as well just put it active, not give Kyle the double knockout potential or the extra damage potential, and put him under item lock. And there's a Skyla. For Kyle, taking a quick look through his deck, seeing what's left. And ends up taking a Professor Juniper. Makes sense, he can't play any of the items anyways. And Jacob does find the DCE. For the Victini, pretends to play the Verse Seeker and then takes it back. It's going to go ahead and hit the Verse Seeker, getting an N. And that Genesect has 2 energy on it, I believe, but he also has the Head Ringer, which is going to matter quite a bit. As, let's see, so Jacob gets a knockout, this turn goes into 2 prizes, and then Kyle just might not be able to respond, and that might just be it, depending on draws, I suppose. Oh, and nope, the Crushing Hammer misses, so it's still possible that Kyle has a way to knock off the Head Ringer. But it's going to be tough here. 2 cards in hand. He gets an extra draw step. Doesn't look like he has. Nope, just sends up the Dedenne and attacks. Draws, and if Jacob can find a Lysander, that will be it. Nope, just Enhance Hammer. Xerosic. There's a laser. Going into 1 prize. Still in the same position we were earlier. And it looks like that is it. And Jacob has advanced 2-0 to 6-0-1.